Spiritual Ministration, Chapter 9, Dhyana, Part 2. Obstructions to Dhyana. Sleep. During Dhyana, the mind impelled by the vasanas tends to drift into reverie. When this is prevented and the mind rendered thoughtless, the sadhaka involuntarily drifts into sleep. The only way to prevent this is for the sadhaka to strive and retain awareness during dhyana. If, however, the impulse to sleep is overpowering, it is best to let nature take its course and go to sleep, and to sleep on until the mind and the system attain satiety. Once such satiety is achieved, the urge to sleep will not obstruct dhyana, at least for some time. Bliss of Manolaya. When thought is extinguished, the sadhaka experiences a state of manolaya, or subsidence of the mind. This state of laya brings peace of mind, and as a result of which the sadhaka experiences a feeling of joy or bliss. Many sadhakas mistakenly assume that they have attained the goal when they experience manolaya and are content to abide in this state. However, the goal of dhyana is not merely to attain manolaya, but to attain manonasha, i.e. total destruction of the mind. And the sadhaka must press on with his dhyana until this is achieved. Shunya, or void. Another common cause for doubt and anxiety occurs when thoughts have been extinguished and the sadhaka comes up against an impenetrable wall of blackness, which is referred to in the scriptures as shunya, or void. In almost all books dealing with nirgopasana, we find the disciple questioning his guru on this phenomenon of there being nothing left when thought is extinguished, resulting in the experience of shunya, or void. The disciple is consequently perplexed and does not know how to proceed further in his sadhana. In order to resolve this doubt, the guru explains to the disciple that the void is not self-manifest, that there has to be someone who perceives the void. He who is the witness of this void is the Atman only, and hence the disciple is advised by the guru to seek him who is the witness of the void. Explaining the same point, Sri Ramana Maharshi said, first one sees the Atman as objects, then one sees the Atman as the void. Finally, one sees Atman as Atman. Only in this last case, there is no seeing, because seeing is being. Mistaking somnolescence for dhyana. Some sadhakas allow their mind to drift into a passive state of somnolescence and imagine that they are immersed in deep dhyana. This is just another example of the delusive tricks of the mind that the mind plays when it is subject to the discipline of dhyana. In this context, it needs to be emphasized that dhyana is anything but somnolescence. On the contrary, dhyana involves an intense activity of the entire mind to keep it steadily poised and concentrated on chit. The mind during dhyana can be likened to a spinning top, which, though apparently stationary, is revolving at top speed. The influence of the three gunas. A sadhaka who practices dhyana regularly will notice that at times the mind is peaceful and calm and dhyana is easy, and at other times he will find dhyana obstructed by excessive thoughts or just plain lassitude. This is because the mind is subject to continuous influence of the three gunas, viz. Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. At any one time, one or the other of these three gunas holds sway over the mind, and the moods and mental condition of the sadhaka are determined accordingly. Thus, when sattva guna prevails, dispassion, peace, calmness of mind, etc. manifest. When rajas prevails, strong desires such as lust, anger, greed, fear, driving ambition, etc. manifest. When tamas prevails, laziness, confusion, dullness of mind, etc. prevail. When from the foregoing description of the three gunas, it is obvious that a sadhaka should try and cultivate the sattva guna, as this guna is the most beneficial for this sadhana. To do this, he must overcome tamas by cultivating rajas, and then he must subdue rajas by cultivating sattva. And when sattva prevails, he must take advantage of the favorable condition that it brings by increasing the intensity of his sadhana. As the sadhaka makes progress in dhyana, he will find the prevalence of the sattva guna will increase, and correspondingly the prevalence of the rajo and tamo gunas will decrease. Helpful as this may be, the sadhaka nevertheless needs to remember that he cannot be wholly free from the influence of the three gunas till such a time as he has not attained the goal of Atmagyan. By acquiring this understanding of the influence and function of the three gunas, a sadhaka will be able to understand the sudden and apparently inexplicable fluctuations of his mental state, and he will not thereafter be puzzled or depressed by the contrary modes of mind produced by rajas and tamas. The baneful influence of tamoguna. In the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, it is stated that sickness, mental laziness, doubt, lack of enthusiasm, sloth, craving of sense pleasures, false perception, despair caused by failure to concentrate, and unsteadiness in concentration. These distractions are obstacles to knowledge. These distractions are accompanied by grief, despondency, trembling of the body, and irregular breathing. Chapter 1, Sutras 30 and 31. From the instructions given here, almost all the distractions listed by Patanjali come under the category of tamas. The sloth or mental lassitude induced by tamas is indeed the greatest enemy of the sadhaka. When a sadhaka first embarks upon the spiritual life, he does so with great faith and enthusiasm. During the first few months under the impetus of this initial inspiration, the sadhaka makes good progress. He finds sadhana easy and pleasurable and is filled with peace and joy. However, it is very necessary for him to know right from the start that this inspired mood will not last long. As the other gunas come into play, he is likely to relapse to his former state. There will be periods of dryness and doubt necessitating hard struggle. He will probably feel that he is unfit for the spiritual life and will be tempted to give it up. But a sadhaka must never give way to such feelings of despair. These are prompted by tamas. If he continues resolutely in his sadhana, such dark moods of doubt and despair will pass, and he will be able to continue with redoubled vigor. With each such struggle, he will make a major stride forward. Heated brain and headaches. Some sadhakas complain of a heated brain and or headaches during dhyana. This may either be caused by incorrect application of the technique of dhyana, or they may be caused by subconscious resistance of the mind and body to the unaccustomed discipline of dhyana. The answer in such cases is to avoid physical and mental strain. Relax, particularly mentally, and dhyana will become easy. Instead of trying to forcibly concentrate the mind, the sadhaka should aim to keep the mind steady by gently warding off intruding thoughts as they arise, but without causing mental strain. Attainments to dhyana sadhana. Progress in dhyana. Once the sadhaka has gained proficiency in keeping his sight and mind steady, he will reach a stage of calm abidance in pure chit. When once the mind reaches this state of steadiness, it should be left undisturbed. Nothing should be thought of. The mind should be made to rest in its pristine state. When thus the mind is kept continuously poised in dhyana, it will become extinct. For just as a fire is automatically extinguished when not fed with fuel, so does the mind become extinct when not fed with thoughts. Sadhakas usually feel and often complain that they are making no progress. This is because in spite of long years of practice, they do not find in themselves any external manifestation indicative of progress. However, it needs to be remembered in this context that the changes being brought in the sadhaka are internal and hence not evident to the sadhaka himself. Only the guru knows and can discern actual progress made. There are nevertheless certain indicators that act like signposts to reassure the sadhaka that he is on the right track and progressing. These are A. Development of the power given by Sri Swamiji. B. Visions. C. Powers. D. Manifestation of spiritual currents. E. Rising of Kundalini Shakti. And F. Experience of Ananda or bliss. It needs to be stressed that though it is highly unlikely that every sadhaka will experience all of the above manifestations, a sadhaka will usually experience one or more of the above manifestations in varying degrees according to his own personal inclinations and mental attitudes. There is no absolute rule in this regard, nor is it essential for a sadhaka's progress to experience all of the above manifestations. Hence, a sadhaka must not lose heart just because he is not having any of these experiences. It merely means that he does not need them and can progress without them. Development of power given during Diksha. This aspect has been dealt with earlier, but it needs to be elaborated a bit more at this stage. After receiving initiation, as the sadhaka continues his practice, he will find that the divine power given by Sri Swamiji at the time of dhyana will begin to gradually grow within him. Externally, it will be felt in the form of heaviness of the eyelids at the time of dhyana. However, as it grows stronger by continued practice, it will manifest itself in the form of a strong and compelling pull drawing the sight and mind towards the Prakriti. In fact, the manifestation of this power at times becomes so strong that to an onlooker the sadhaka's face appears to undergo contortions under its influence, though the sadhaka himself is unaware of this fact. Once his power develops, all that the sadhaka has to do is to submit to it and not resist in any way. He will find that the power on its own will draw the sadhaka's sight and mind to the Prakriti and hold them there. As mentioned earlier also, if a sadhaka finds his eyeballs flickering or feels tightness or pain around the eyes and forehead, or experiences an uncomfortable strain of the mind, he will find that these are merely warning signals that he is unconsciously resisting the working of this power by allowing thoughts to play on his mind. The moment he controls his thoughts and makes the mind quiet again, the power resumes its work unhindered and these stress signals disappear. As this power increases with practice, the sadhaka will find it progressively easier to concentrate his sight and mind, and he will be able to sit for dhyana for longer hours. Visions. Visions are the most misunderstood aspect of dhyana. Sadhakas talk to older devotees, hear them speak of varied visions, and thereby conclude that visions are the sole indicator of progress. In fact, many sadhakas treat visions as the be-all and end-all of dhyana. These wrong notions need to be dispelled. Regarding visions, Sri Swamiji has repeatedly stressed that visions are not an essential feature of dhyana, and the fact that a sadhaka sees no visions should be no cause for despondency. Undoubtedly, during the earlier stages of dhyana, the seeing of visions is a great source of encouragement and gives a tremendous boost to a sadhaka's endeavor, enthusiasm and progress. However, during the more advanced stages, a sadhaka has to transcend these visions in order to make further progress, and at this stage, the habitual desire for seeing visions acts as a brake and an obstacle, as the sadhaka is merely satisfied if he sees a vision and has no will or inclination to transcend them and proceed further. Hence, Sri Swamiji vouchsafes visions only to those whom he feels require such aids for further progress in dhyana. This again is determined by the personal proclivities of the sadhaka, such as whether he is attracted by the personal or impersonal aspect of God, whether he yearns for visions, etc. If Sri Swamiji finds that a sadhaka can carry on dhyana without the need of visions, then such a sadhaka may not get any visions at all. Be that as it may, it is important to remember that visions, if they have to come, will come of their own time and of their own accord. This point is being stressed because many sadhakas fall into the error of trying to will visions. This is wrong, because such attempts at trying to force visions by willing them only disturbs the natural tenor of the dhyana and often obstructs a vision that might have come. Had the sadhaka let the dhyana take its natural course. When in spite of such yearning and intense effort no vision yields, and it will not be for the reason stated earlier, the sadhaka feels despondent and frustrated. It cannot be overstressed that a vision, when it has to come, will come spontaneously and of its own accord. It cannot be willed by the sadhaka, however hard he tries. And in fact, willing may lead to mental hallucinations and may cause him harm. Again, in the context of visions, a sadhaka needs to be cautioned that he must never allow himself to forget the basic aim of dhyana, which is to concentrate the sight and mind on the Prakriti and keep the mind free of thought and poised in pure awareness of Chit or Chit. When lights or visions arise during the dhyana and flit across the mind, he must not allow himself to be carried away by them and try to follow them with his eyes. He should see them if they come within the orbit of his steadied vision, or else he should let them pass. He will find that if he tries to follow a vision as it flits across the mind, he will not only lose his concentration, but the vision will also fade away. If he keeps his sight and mind steadily concentrated on the Prakriti, the vision will also steady itself and will remain within the orbit of his sight. These visions come in a flash, last a few seconds, and then disappear. Powers. Like visions, powers are another attainment keenly sought after by sadhakas, particularly the uninitiated. In fact, there are many who take to dhyana not because of a desire to attain spiritual benefit and realization, but primarily because of their desire to attain powers. This craving is excited and further whetted by the stories they hear and accounts they read of various extraordinary powers attained by the different disciples of Sri Swamiji. It will not be out of place, therefore, to caution the sincere seeker in this regard. Whereas visions are a help to the sadhaka in his spiritual progress, powers are of no help whatsoever. In fact, they constitute a major stumbling block. When a sadhaka attains any extraordinary power, there is always a temptation to exhibit it, and such exhibition leads to adulation from the ignorant populace, who generally confuse miracle mongering with spirituality. Such popular adulation inevitably gives an unwelcome boost to the sadhaka's ego, which in turn prevents any further spiritual progress. Sooner or later, the sadhaka who possesses these powers is tempted to use them for selfish purposes, and this leads to a headlong fall from the spiritual path. Such unfortunate sadhakas not only lose the powers that they once possessed, but with them, they also lose their spiritual discernment and end up far worse than they were when they first set out on the spiritual path. Powers therefore ought to be shunned as poison. Sri Swamiji constantly warns sadhakas against the dangers inherent in attainment and misuse of powers. But the fact is that various powers come to the sadhaka unasked and unsolicited during the course of his sadhana. Not necessarily to all, but certainly to many. Should this happen, the sadhaka should on no account exhibit or use these powers. He should instead pray ardently to Sri Swamiji to take these powers away from him. If he is sincere in his supplication, Sri Swamiji will withdraw these powers, or at least they will lose their capacity to harm the sadhaka's natural spiritual progress. Sri Swamiji also cautions that during dhyana, many forms of devas and devis will appear before the sadhaka and tempt him by granting him various boons. On such occasions, the sadhaka should never ask for any powers or any material benefit. Instead, he should ask only for bhakti and dhyana siddhi. Sri Swamiji, however, does make exceptions in the case of spiritually matured or advanced disciples. To them, he grants certain powers so that they can do jana seva and help other sadhakas in their spiritual progress. However, in the case of these chosen disciples, there is no danger of misuse, as their ego has been eliminated and they have no personal desires. Whatever powers Sri Swamiji grants them, they use only for the benefit of others, strictly in accordance with his directions. Spiritual currents. As dhyana progresses, spiritual currents will start manifesting themselves in the sadhaka's body. These are occasioned by the stirring into wakefulness and subsequent movements of the Kundalini Shakti. These currents will be felt in varying intensities in different parts of the body. Their frequency and manifestation are unpredictable. They occur of their own accord and at varying intervals. These currents are helpful to the sadhaka both physically and spiritually, and they cure physical ailments, improve health, and give the sadhaka energy for continuing his dhyana, eliminate worries, and calm the mind. Rise of the Kundalini Shakti. According to the Yoga Shastras, a vast reservoir of spiritual energy is located at the base of the spine. This is known as the Kundalini Shakti, which literally translated means coiled up energy. During the course of the sadhaka's spiritual practices, the spiritual energy which is lying coiled up and dormant is stirred up into wakefulness and moves up along a spiritual channel known as the Sushumna Nadi, which corresponds to the location of the spinal column, to the Sahasrara or 1,000-petaled lotus, said to be located at the crown of the head. On this upward journey, the Kundalini Shakti passes through 6 chakras or centers of spiritual consciousness, which are 1. The Mooladhara chakra located at the base of the spine. 2. The Swadhisthana chakra located along the spine approximately opposite the genital organs. 3. The Manipura chakra, which is located on the spine approximately opposite the navel. 4. The Anahat chakra, which is located along the spine approximately in line with the heart. 5. The Vishuddhi chakra, which is located along the spine at the base of the neck in the rear. 6. The Ajna chakra, which is located In the central cavity, where the vertical line connecting the crown of the head to the soft palate joins the horizontal line connecting the two ears. As the Kundalini Shakti travels through these chakras, the sadhaka will have experiences and encounter obstacles peculiar to each chakra. These are given in some detail below. Mooladhara chakra. The mind of a worldly person is said to dwell in the three lower centers or chakras. The mind does not manifest any spiritual aspirations and is normally obsessed by desires of a material and worldly nature. However, once the Kundalini Shakti is awakened as a result of the Diksha and Dhyana, the following indications become manifest. A. Indications. There will be a keen desire to do more and more dhyana. B. Experiences. The sadhaka may obtain a vision of his Ishtadeva during dhyana. And C. Obstacles. The sadhaka may be afflicted with various ailments, but such ailments will not hamper his dhyana. Such ailments will be cured by Sri Swamiji's Ashirvad and by use of Vibhuti given by Sri Swamiji. B. Swadhisthana Chakra or Swadhisthana Chakra. A. Indications. When the Kundalini is in this chakra, the mind becomes agitated, chanchal. A sadhaka feels restless and usually roams from place to place. He also feels excessively hungry. B. Experiences. The experiences he may have been having earlier disappear, and though he yearns to have experiences, his yearning is not fulfilled. This causes depression of mind. C. Obstacles. The mind is agitated and disturbed. The sadhaka feels disturbed and is tormented by excessive craving for food. These obstacles ought to be overcome by persistence and regularity in dhyana, and by increasing the time spent in dhyana to the maximum possible. Manipura Chakra. A. Indications. The sadhaka starts experiencing samadhi and soon reaches a stage when as soon as he sits for dhyana, he goes into samadhi. B. Experiences. Powers begin to manifest themselves, such as the ability to materialize at a distant place. C. Obstacles. As soon as the sadhaka gets up from dhyana, he is tempted to try out his powers, and if he yields to his temptation, he is soon misled into trying to show off the powers he has acquired. As a consequence of this, his ego gains strength, and correspondingly his bhakti or devotion to God and his guru diminishes. In order to overcome the obstacle, the sadhaka should refrain from exhibiting his powers. Anahat Chakra. A. Indications. The sadhaka acquires yoga siddhi or vachan siddhi, i.e. whatever he says come true or fulfilled. B. Experiences. The sadhaka acquires the power to roam about in his sukshma sharir or astral body wheresoever he wills. C. Obstacles. As additional powers manifest, the sadhaka's ahankar or pride greatly increases so much that he forgets that it is by his guru's grace alone that he has attained his present state. The sadhaka goes around boasting and showing off, and at times he may even go to the extent of deriding his guru. As the saying goes, pride goes before a fall, and sure enough, his pride and egoism that he develops leads to his downfall. The only answer, of course, is to shun those powers like poison, and to pray sincerely to the guru for his ashirvad so that the sadhaka does not fall prey to egoism and pride. Vishuddhi Chakra. Indication. Sadhaka experiences deep and blissful samadhi. B. Experiences. The sadhaka sees divine light and his darshan of his Ishtadeva and dhyana. He attains the power to go anywhere he likes in his sukshma sharir, including other lokas or planes of existence such as Devaloka, Mrityuloka, etc. C. Obstacles. There are no obstacles experienced at this stage. Agnya Chakra. A. Indications and experiences. The sadhaka experiences deep samadhi and strong currents. The sadhaka obtains vision of the Atman, but there is still a trace of individuality left. As Sri Ramakrishna puts it, it is like a light and a lantern. One feels that he could touch the light but cannot because of an obstructing pane of glass. B. Obstacles. It is at this stage that a sadhaka will be tested and consequently undergoes his ordeal by fire. Patanjali also cautions the sadhaka thus: when tempted by the invisible beings in high places, let the yogi neither feel allured nor flattered, for he is in danger of being caught once more by ignorance. Chapter 3, Sutra 52. The invisible beings in high places mentioned are the Devis and Devatas who tempt the sadhakas with various heavenly allurements and enjoyments and try to deflect him from his path. The sadhaka succumbs to his temptations when he falls from the path and becomes a yoga brashta. In case of a fall, there is also the danger of mental disease. Hence, this is the stage when the greatest help is required from the Guru. It is only by the Guru's ashirvad or blessings and his raksha, protection, that the sadhaka can hope to steer a safe course through the powerful temptations to which he is subjected. Even in the lives of divine incarnations, we read about this period of testing. For example, Jesus being tempted by Satan in the wilderness, or Buddha being tempted by the devil Mara before he gains the final illumination. The Sahasrara. If the sadhaka successfully resists the various temptations and resolutely sticks to his yogic path, the Kundalini finally rises to the seventh plane, the 1,000-petaled lotus on the crown of the head known as the Sahasrara. When this happens, the sadhaka passes into Nirvikalpa Samadhi and experiences Atma Sakshatkara. Samadhi. The only difference between fully matured dhyana and samadhi is that the state of dhyana is attained by effort and kept up by effort. Samadhi is a state of effortless abidance in the Atman. Samadhi, like everything else in dhyana, cannot be induced by the sadhaka by an act of will. It comes automatically of its own accord when the sadhaka has acquired the prerequisite status of maturity in his dhyana. While doing dhyana, he will effortlessly pass into samadhi. This initial samadhi may last for a half hour or more. Then the vasanas which are still active will pull his mind down from samadhi again. As the sadhaka continues his dhyana in the proper manner, such samadhi will become more and more frequent. Samadhis of three kinds: A. Savikalpa Samadhi, B. Nirvikalpa Samadhi, and C. Sahaja Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Savikalpa Samadhi. In the advanced state of dhyana, the mind turns away from objectivity to subjectivity, and when that happens, Savikalpa Samadhi ensues. During this samadhi, the mind is resolved in its origin, the hridayam or heart, and the sadhaka is sunk into deep peace and bliss, without the least ripple of thought. However, the sadhaka still retains consciousness of its identity, and hence the feeling continues to persist that he, the subject, is doing dhyana and the Atma is the object of his dhyana. As he is aware of this differentiation, he has to make an effort to hold on to the state of Savikalpa Samadhi. Nirvikalpa Samadhi. By continuously holding on to Savikalpa Samadhi, the sadhaka eventually experiences Nirvikalpa Samadhi. In this state, the mind sinks into and is resolved into the Atma. There is not the least trace of I or separate identity. In fact, there is no knowledge apart from the awareness of blissful existence. In connection with Nirvikalpa Samadhi, it is stated that in the Viveka Chudamani that when the mind is purified by the sadhana, one passes from Savikalpa to Nirvikalpa Samadhi. This in turn leads to the direct realization of the Atman. This Nirvikalpa Samadhi destroys all vasanas and severs the Chidjata Granti. Thereafter, everything is seen as a manifestation of the Atman only. The difference of you, I, this, that, etc. disappears. Once Nirvikalpa Samadhi is attained, further effort by the sadhaka is neither necessary nor possible. Effort is only possible up to and including the stage of Savikalpa Samadhi. Once Nirvikalpa Samadhi is attained, the sadhaka is no longer aware of I, i.e. of his existence as a separate individual. And hence there is no one left to make any further effort. At this stage, some higher power takes over and leads the sadhaka on until the final realization. Sahaja Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Sahaja Samadhi is remaining in the primal pure natural state without effort. This is the highest state and goal of all yogis. The sadhaka no longer sees himself as an individual but is in conscious identity with the Paramatma. There is now no more need for him to do dhyana or any other sadhana. Though he may engage in normal day-to-day activities, he no longer identifies himself with these activities but treats them as a dreamer treats a dream experience. In fact, in the Sahaja state, the yogi is aware only of the Atma, and it is a continuous experience of oneness. Ekoha dvityo nasti. Tapas. There are many ardent sadhakas who repeatedly request Sri Swamiji to initiate them into tapas. Such sadhakas obviously do not comprehend the true meaning and nature of tapas. The difference between normal dhyana and tapas is that during dhyana the sadhaka is conscious of the body. Tapas implies being immersed in samadhi, during which the sadhaka is not at all conscious of his body and his surroundings. Whereas dhyana is intermittent and interrupted by thoughts, tapas is continuous like the flow of oil. From this it will be apparent that the sadhaka is fit for undertaking. Tapas has reached the samadhi stage and who is capable of holding on to samadhi for long periods. Obviously, therefore, a sadhaka cannot undertake tapas merely by his having a wish to do so. It is only by practice of dhyana over a long period of time and that the mind is purified and prepared for samadhi and tapas. The duration of this preparatory period depends on the spiritual maturity of the individual and the amount of time and effort he devotes to the practice of dhyana. Initially, tapas follows a 6-hour cycle. Beginning from midnight, the sadhaka will be immersed in samadhi for 5 to 5.5 hours. At 5 to 5:30, his eyes will automatically open and he will emerge from the state of samadhi. This will be repeated at 11 to 11:30 and 17 to 17:30 hours, and at 2300 to 23:30 hours. When the sadhaka emerges from samadhi, he should drink some water. He should then take light nourishment, which is restricted to only milk and fruits. In case preferred, lassi or diluted curds may be taken instead of milk. After this light repast, the sadhaka should sleep for about 10 minutes to digest the milk and the fruits he has consumed. Thereafter, he may walk around within the house or ashram compound if he likes. This rest period between samadhi should be restricted to 30 minutes to 1 hour. During the midnight rest period, the sadhaka should have his daily bath. After his bath, he should rest for 1 hour. As the intensity of the tapas increases, the sadhaka will remain immersed in samadhi for longer and longer periods until during the advanced stages, he will be in continuous samadhi for all 24 hours except for the 1 hour break at midnight, where he can take his bath and partake of some light refreshment of milk and fruits. The sadhaka must continue his tapas until by Guru Kripa, he obtains sakshatkara and is instructed by his guru to rise and discontinue his tapas. If the sadhaka leaves off tapas without guru agya or permission, he will face difficulties and will have to come back to his guru in order to complete his sadhana. Sakshatkara. The state of sakshatkara, of course, can never be described because it is beyond mind and speech. However, there are various indications given in the scripture and the descriptions left to us by the great sages who have attained this final state. The great sages say that to remain always as the pure Atma is Sakshatkara or realization. Elaborating this, sage Vasishta said in Yoga Vasishta, just as the mind in a stone remains quiet and modeless, so also like the interior of the stone to remain unmoded and thought-free, but not in slumber nor aware of duality, is to be fixed as the real Atma. Sri Shankaracharya has said, just as in the ignorant mind, unmindful of the identity of the Atman with Brahman, one truly believes oneself to be the body, and so also after knowledge to be free from the illusion of the body being the Atman and becoming unaware of the body undoubtingly and unmistakably, and always to experience the Atman as Satchidananda, identical with Brahman, is called Sakshatkara. Talking about the experience at the time of obtaining Sakshatkara, Sri Ramana Maharshi said, realization is called Vritti Jnana. You can feel yourself one with the one that exists. The whole body becomes a mere power, a force current. Your life becomes a needle drawn to a huge mass of magnet, and as you go deeper, you become a mere center, and not even that. You become mere consciousness. There are no thoughts and cares any longer. They are shattered in the threshold. It is an inundation. You are a mere straw. You are swallowed alive, but it is very delightful for you. Become the very thing that swallows you. This is the union of Jiva with Brahman, the loss of the ego in the real Atman, the destruction of ignorance and the attainment of truth. Sri Swamiji, when questioned about Sakshatkara, has been somewhat reticent about this final and culminating aspect of dhyana. As he explains it, this is something that has to be experienced and cannot be put into words. That apart, even if an attempt is made to convey the nature of his experience by suitable hints and examples, only very advanced sadhakas would be able to understand it. Therefore, Sri Swamiji feels that details about Sakshatkara should be only given to once sadhakas have acquired a deeper understanding of dhyana. These details may perhaps be included in a later edition of this book, or in a new book when it's written. For the present, Sri Swamiji has confined his remarks to clarifying the nature of experience at the time of Sakshatkara. According to Sri Swamiji, the experience will depend on the spiritual propensity of individual sadhakas. Thus, those sadhakas who are inclined towards the nirguna bhava, devotion to the attributeless absolute, will obtain Atma Sakshatkara on the successful completion of their dhyana practices. Those who are inclined towards the saguna bhava, devotion to God with attributes, will obtain Sakshatkara of their Ishtadeva instead. In the same context, he has further clarified that there is no essential difference in these two forms of Sakshatkara, for it is the same Atma that manifests either as pure Atma or appears in the form of the Ishtadeva. In conclusion, it needs to be emphasized and stressed that Sakshatkara can never be obtained by a sadhaka merely by personal endeavor. Sakshatkara is essentially the result of the grace of God, which comes in the form of the Guru, to bless and bestow realization and mukti on the yogi who has striven hard and ceaselessly on the path of union of God. This must never be forgotten. End of reading.